If you ever plan to go on vacation to Europe, it's almost inevitable that you end up going out to eat. As someone that's visited Europe, it can, however, be an obstacle if you're not familiar with the culture there. So that kind of begs the question, do you know how to properly dine in a European restaurant? That's why today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about dining in there. The first point I want to cover is walking in. As you walk in, you're going to seat yourself. This is because no one's going to come up and greet you and tell you to come right this way, like we're so used to in America. You actually just walk in and go seat yourself until a waitress finds you and asks for your drinks. The next point I want to talk about is the different customs there. They have a lot of different things that you wouldn't expect going on there. The first is ice. They actually don't really offer ice there. So if you're getting like your famous Coke that you always get at every restaurant, you're actually most likely not going to get any ice in there. And this is kind of important to know so you don't get frustrated. Another thing is the tap water. They actually don't really order tap water. So if you want just regular tap water, you're going to have to say Leitungswasser instead of just like Wasser or telling them in English water, because they don't really believe in complimenting a good meal with just regular water. They don't really think that is like worthy of the meal. So that's why if you just say water, they're gonna bring out sparkling water. So you want to make sure you just say regular water if you want that. And another thing to point out is you might as well not even really order regular water because you're gonna have to pay for it anyways. Just about everything there when you go to a restaurant you're gonna have to pay for, including sometimes condiments and most of the time bread rolls or breadsticks. And if you want to be careful, you can just ask them if it's included in the meal price. But you should expect to pay for just about everything there. The next point is the tipping standards there. Now, this is a lot different from America. Whereas America, you would go there and they would bring out your bill and you can just write the total that you want, usually going from 10 to 20% that we learn about all the time. 10% being bad, 20% being excellent. There it's actually quite different, whereas it's only about 5 to 10%. And this is because waitresses there get paid more and don't have to rely on tips as much. So when you do tip, they're going to bring the bill over and you'll just like kind of tell them how much you want to pay. So if your total price is like 10-15, you can just say make that $11 or $12, and that's just how you tip. You're gonna want to expect to pay in cash, where the majority of restaurants aren't gonna accept card. So you want to prepare yourself in that way and make sure you have money, because you're going to want to assume that they don't accept card. So when they do bring it over, they're going to bring a bag of change if they have to give you change, but most of the time you just round up to the dollars so they don't have to do any of that. The last thing I want to talk about is table manners. And while this one isn't as important, if you want to kind of stand out, you're not if you don't want to stand out, this is what you're going to want to do. The biggest difference that you're going to want to be aware of is the no hands food. So as Americans, we use our hands for a lot of eating, and they don't really do that there. They think it's unnecessary and kind of messy. So you're going to want to pretty much eat anything with a fork or a spoon. Going off that, you're going to want to hold the knife in your right hand and fork in your left hand. And as you're eating, you don't want to cut all of it into pieces right away. You're going to want to cut like as necessary. So as you take a bite, you're going to cut one piece off. Finally, when you're done with the meal, you need to finish all your food. Otherwise, that's going to come off as like rude. So you shouldn't order more than you're going to eat. And then once you do finish, you just put your fork and knife facing towards the center of the table on the plate. So all in all, when you go into a restaurant, you're gonna want to seat yourself, and you're gonna want to expect to pay for everything and be aware of the different customs there. Whereas you pay for bread, you pay for water, and you don't get ice. And then the tipping standards, you just want to remember you tell them your total, you don't write down the total, and that they don't accept card. And if you keep all those things in mind, you should be set to go eating in a German restaurant.